Come back to the course. So in this particular lecture, I'm going to share with you a variety of cases of product service system in the industry. First, I expect you to be able to identify various cases from industry. All the cases that I'm going to share with you are taken from industry, which means that they are sort of, they exist in industry, meaning that they are viable, economically speaking, and other aspects as well. Okay, then I expect you to be able to describe some important business elements of different cases, because this will be useful in the upcoming exercise or project that you are going to undertake. And also, I have tried to group different cases into some sort of themes, although they are not sort of perfectly aligned, but I did try that, so that you will find some sort of common factors across different cases, across different sectors, because that's very useful to know, because you can apply such common factors to the case that you have at your hand. Okay? Start with let's say relatively common example taken from production machine industry. The core product in this case is a production machine, and as this visualizes, there are different opportunities to help the user of this production machine. For example, through spare parts provision, very traditional one, and then field service, remote service, hotline, and so on, and also training of the technicians and operators for those production machines. And you see, looking into industry, then you see a lot of these services are quite commonly provided. And one specific example from the sector is where analysis, tear and wear happens, obviously. And it's very valuable information that to know the trend of the wear along the time. And this is very much building upon the digitalization, as we discussed earlier. And here, remote monitoring is a prerequisite for this service to be possible. Okay. And continuing with the same sector, another company offers services and also software upgrades along the lifetime. And in this specific case, the production machine can remain the same, and new software, new services can be added over time so that the overall functions of the machine can be enhanced. And this is an interesting thing, again related to the digitalization. In this case, software plays a very important role, as you can imagine. Moving to another sector, truck industry. One truck manufacturer provides different types of services, as shown on this slide. And among others, I would like to highlight the fourth one, which is visualized, the picture on the right-hand side. This truck manufacturer has developed a sort of system that works together with a kind of GPS, so that the truck can know the exact spot on the world, and that information is combined with another data source, which is about which geographical areas have some sort of speed limit restrictions. For example, pedestrian areas, etc. Like in this area, maximum speed is, for example, 30 kilometers per hour. So these two pieces of information are combined, and the sort of reasoning result is shown to the truck driver so that it can be sort of automatically restricted in terms of the speed of the truck, or the information is provided to the driver so that he or she can decide the speed. So this case is also very much building upon the digitalization technologies and large-scale systems. Talking about a different sector, as I told you earlier, a service needs to sort of acknowledge the differences between different customers' requirements and also needs and wants, so that the quality of provided services can vary between different customers and users, depending on their specific needs. And this case is very interesting in that aspect, because the company provides machine used in, let's say, milk industry, like pumping milk from cows and so on. And they acknowledge that the services, service recipient, i.e. who are farmers, no? The needs are different between different farmers, so that sort of customization, differentiation across different farmers is important. That is what they acknowledge, the company acknowledges. But if the company does that to such an extreme, then it becomes very inefficient and too much costly, right? So they acknowledge the importance of making a sort of standard for the services in terms of quality and also the procedure. Right? So I think this is an important sort of learning aspect in mind, so that when PSS and among other services are implemented in reality, they can be different, as I said, but you need to have some sort of level of economy to make the offering viable in terms of economy, right? And looking at printing machine industry, such machines are quite sort of availability sensitive. If they produce, for example, newspapers or other stuffs that are urgent for some cases, then the availability of such machines is critical. Therefore, this specific company of the printing machine producer provides, for example, full service contract that includes not only regular maintenance, but also when something happens, or if and when the printing machine malfunctions, then a backup is provided to the customer, so that customers can ensure the printing availability, the printing machine availability, and also the availability of the outcomes of such printing processes. On a similar line of thoughts. A forklift truck manufacturer has an PSS offering, and which is provided through a sort of leasing contract where the ownership of the forklift trucks are maintained by the manufacturer, and the users of the trucks have access to the function and also the services. And it's interesting for this company saying in their advertisement that don't buy trucks, instead think about rental or leasing from us. Yeah, so these are the selling points from the forklift truck manufacturer's point of view, such as flexibility, higher flexibility, high preciseness of the cost prediction is some of the benefits of the customer of the PSS. This is also interesting from utility provider. The company provides electricity, heating, and so on. And they have a specific type of contract which is named comfort agreement. In this case, the provider makes an agreement with the customers in terms of the comfort level for the rooms used by the customer. No? So specifically speaking, so let's say we promise to keep your rooms at 21 degrees, for example. This is an example from Sweden, where it's much colder than here, and it's sort of critical. It's a survival issue in a sense, especially in the winter. So I think this is a type of contract that meets such a customer needs. No? Okay. And lighting. Typically, you may want to buy lamps, physical object, product. But in this case, you as a user pay for the lighting, where the provider fixes the lamps and also takes back the used lamps also. Right? Looking at the automotive sector, product as a service offering is available nowadays in different countries. This specific one is I think very, very relevant from this course point of view, because according to the published information from the company, product design has been adapted for this specific offering, and services are designed particularly for this product as a service offering, and they are organically connected with each other so that the monthly fee for using this service is decreased. So what is adapted in terms of product design is, so in this kind of contract, one user uses, let's say, for some time, 1 year or half a year, we don't know. But then the same car will be used through a new contract by a different user, okay? Which means that a number of contractors will use an identical car, and the customers may differ in terms of their needs and wants, so that products will benefit from design for upgrades, because from one contract to another, the provider of this offering may want to change some function of the car at hand. No? And so that is implemented. And by implementing design for upgrade, the service cost is decreased. Right? So this is what I have been saying to you multiple times. There is an interrelation between product and services, right? And then they offer services using connectivity. Now they use effectively the digitalization techniques. The usage of the car could be monitored, and thereby the company can better prepare for what should be done at the end of the contract. When the car comes back to the company after the contract, then the company have already quite good knowledge about the usage history and thereby the expected condition of the car, so that they have a better preparation for the what treatments should be made for the specific car. So through these different elements implemented, the contract is decreased to some extent, according to the company. Right. And from now, in the coming several slides, I'm going to talk about turbine-related thing. The first one is about gas turbine. We, together with colleagues, wrote some specific historical development of PSS in the gas turbine sector. We know that some sort of aftermarket services, such as spare parts provision, training, and so on, have been provided historically. But let's say in the 90s, service-based solutions for higher increased customer value began, such as uptime, uptime-based contract, and hassle-free operation, etc. And let's say around 2010s, they introduced condition-based maintenance services. And this is an interesting point. In order for the company to be able to provide condition-based maintenance service, they need to be able to predict some conditions based on the data and the information they can collect through a specific gas turbine in this case. And they need to be confident in saying to the customer, okay, Mr. Customer or Miss Customer, your turbine will is degrading and will fail in the coming months or so. That is a prediction requiring so much data and information. Because when the provider says that, of course, they need to do that. No? It's a promise. No? So in order to make sort of such a promise that requires cost and resource and effort from the provider side, they need to have a precise estimation and prediction of the machine. And that requires data and connectivity, etc. No? as you know, aircraft use turbines, similar machines, and Rolls-Royce is one of the well-known companies that have been active in the service offering, and the service-based sales is roughly half of their entire revenue. There is an interesting article by Smith 2013 describing the history of Rolls-Royce in terms of this specific offering, PSS. And this chart shows the horizontal axis is time over the years, and then the vertical axis is fuel consumption. And in the chart, different aircraft are plotted. And over the years, the fuel consumption has significantly decreased, as you see here. And because this is a result of their R&D activities, they have succeeded in improving fuel consumption. And it's not only fuel consumption. The other major quality they have managed to increase is component and part durability. So the durability has significantly improved, and therefore the spare parts business, which was a cash cow for them, has significantly decreased. So what happened actually is the company, the provider, invested a lot to improve their products and components and parts, and thereby they sort of made themselves suffering from the loss of the sales, which is the most profitable part. It's quite cynical, but this is when the company realized that now a business model must be switched. So that they started to offer sort of power by the hour scheme, meaning that they don't charge their customers based on the number of engines, but based on the hours of engine operation. So that if the engine lasts longer, it saves more on their cost. And the same article shows reduction of the cost. The dotted line is cost for the provider, whereas the thicker line shows the previous charging scheme, business model. It shows that the provider has managed to decrease the cost. And as a side story, when I was speaking with multinational company who is interested in implementing product service system, and I showed this graph, and manager sort of laughed at me. The aircraft engine manufacturer lost their profit. So that's what the manager said to me. Yeah, I mean, the sort of direct interpretation of this graph is aligned with that. So the manager is sort of right. But think about what is not shown or what is not included in this graph. For example, the aircraft manufacturer keeps the ownership of the engine. After the contract, it's on their hands. It's valuable, right? It has value. And then they can, for example, sell the engine to another type of customers, etc. So this sort of shift of business models was initiated by the provider, then we could assume that that shouldn't be bad for the provider. Huh? Any question? No? Okay. All right. There are examples in home appliance sector too. For example, vacuum cleaner is also under in the market, and also on the right hand side you see the heat pumps. One example is home appliance, for example washing machines and other machines. This company has been offering this product as a service business since 2017. They started this business in the Dutch market. You can easily find this offering on the website. So their corporate report says that this offering started with their internal discussion about what they could do for circular economy. And so according to this report, through this business setting, product as a service, which is a special kind of PSS, they can keep the ownership of the washing machines and other machines, and they can make the important decisions that take place along their product life cycle. For example, typically washing machines come to the end of life after, let's say, 11 years, according to the statistics in Europe. And then the washing machine owners are expected to bring the machines bring the machines to the recycling stations. That's the sort of typical thing expected to happen. And then the recycling facility company decides what to do with the machines that are brought by the end users. But that type of company is not a specialist in making the washing machines, right? They are specialized in handling the sort of end-of-use products. But when it comes to this type of company who has the design data, they have CAD files, CAD files, and also they have produced these machines. If they manage well, they store the data from the production data of each washing machine. And then in this case, if the customer allows, then the usage data is collected and shared by the provider, if the customer allows. So this company has a big advantage compared with other types of companies. So design data, production data, usage data, well, basically this company can collect and use the data coming from different life cycle phases. Huh? If you remember one of my slides shown earlier, so data and information coming from different life cycle phases can be used together to see correlation, for example, so that this company can make much better decisions than any other type of companies, right? The same company actually offers a variant of that business offering. This is, I think, especially interesting from business management point of view. So the provider is depicted on the left-hand side of this slide. They provide washing machines and other home appliance equipment. And the users in this case of target are special people who are vulnerable in terms of economy. So they typically don't afford to buy machines that are, for example, energy efficient. So they tend to buy cheaper products of the same kind, and such products are typically not energy efficient, for example, and meaning that they tend to decrease the upfront investment cost, but somehow they tend to pay more probably in the use phase because of the inefficiency of the use phase. Huh? So here, the interesting part is a special type of organization is involved. This is an offering from Belgium, so it's written in Belgian language. But the mission of this specific company in the middle is to help such socially vulnerable people. So the manufacturer involved that special organization in the middle so that the manufacturer provides washing machines to the special organization in the middle. And in this case, this organization keeps the ownership of the washing machines and make contracts with the end users. And typically this contract lasts for 10 years, and they charge a flat rate, monthly fee to the end user. There are, these are the roles of the three actors involved, as I explained. And each actor benefits from this constellation. As I said, the end user of this kind will benefit from lower energy bills, monthly bills, and meeting, of course, basic needs. And the social organization in the middle meets their own mission, and the manufacturer contributes to the social and environmental sustainability. So in order to help envision and design this kind of offering, this course is not specialized in that area of knowledge. We can research on this. I think there is a big opportunity in doing research for how to support coming up with these kind of new business models, right? Okay, continuing with washing machines, I would like to bring a case from Swedish condition. In Sweden, it's quite typical. If you live in an apartment, apartment buildings, building has typically, I don't know, a number of many apartments, families. And typically in the basement, there are washing machines which are shared by those many families. And typically there is a sort of booking system so that each family can make a booking to access to the washing machines. And now, interesting comparison is, as I said, this one is a sort of shared model, and it's not product ownership model. So it's a sort of PSS. And on the other hand, there is, of course, a traditional business model which sort of in which products are sold and transferred, the ownership is transferred to end users. So individual use of retail machines. The difference is, one major difference is the number of users per machine are different. No? And it's likely that the PSS in this case is more efficient in meeting a certain number of users, right, per machine. And another important aspect here is the machines in this PSS are semi-professional machines in terms of size and also durability of different components of the washing machine compared with the typical machines sold in retailer shops. We did a sort of calculation, including simulation, in terms of CO2, considering the climate impact. So over the years, this is a result of long-term simulation. Over the years, we compared the CO2 emission from the individual use of retail machines that you saw on the right-hand side of the previous slide. And the green one means sharing semi-professional machines that you saw on the left-hand side on the previous slide. So we show that there is a significant difference in terms of CO2 emission between the two models, right? And here, interesting, another scenario is sharing, but using the retail machine model. So it's in between the two models. And that one is only a little bit better than the individual use of retail machines by individual users. So meaning that the difference between the middle scenario and the lowest scenario comes from the difference of the product quality. Okay? So again, this example shows that the such contribution in terms of CO2 emission reduction was caused by the service model as well as changes into the product design. Okay? So thereby, such a significant effect is realized. Okay? One thing I should mention regarding this case is governmental policy actually did play a role in Sweden for that kind of shared washing machine model emerged. I refer to this book. It's written in Swedish, but the washing machine room, a Swedish history. According to this book, there was indeed sort of the national regulations that influenced and supported the real estate developers to have this kind of common washing machine rooms. So this is sort of coming beyond the territory of traditional product design. Usually this kind of policy matters are given, and product designers don't sort of think about, don't question, and they just take them as given, and they draw the system boundaries by themselves, right? But this is interesting because this played a role for the washing machine shading model as one design solution. So obviously, without this policy, it's likely that another solution was more popular. Huh? So it's an interesting example to see the policies could influence on the PSS solutions. So, 2 slides you will see. Related to the role of the product provider can change. So this case, the company designs, delivers, and operates assembly in a certain production line. And interestingly, according to the paper, Meyer et al. 2010, this company is indeed a part of their customers' production chain, production process. And the offering by this company to the customer can be seen as a result-oriented business model, meaning that a certain result is promised by the customer. Exactly same type of story is found from a different company. I refer to a different literature. And then in this case, exactly similar thing happened. So the company manufactures sort of films for the surface of TV sets like this, no? Surface part. But those kind of components have become commodities, so that the company sort of gradually lost their competitiveness. But in this case, the company got more involved in the customer's production process, which means the customer is, in this case, a TV set manufacturer, the final assembler. So they got sort of involved in a particular part of the customer's production process, and then they got responsibility for that part. And from the customer's point of view, they could decrease their production cost, and also the customers became so much dependent on this provider. So in this case, the company provided services which are sort of helping the customer's production system. That service has become so vital for the customers, and therefore the provider managed to make a very strong relationship with the customer. Right? 2 cases are taken, one from Bangladesh, and the other slide, upcoming slide, from India. In emerging economies in general, the access to electricity is, of course, an issue. And in this specific case, the company helps people meeting this need. And they work on the electrification, and the company provides a sort of box which is called solar box, and together with the solar panel, and they use interesting sort of electricity sharing scheme. One key factor that has made this business offering viable is microfinance institution is involved, and this feature is common to the case that I explained from Belgium, the washing machines provided to the socially vulnerable people. In that case also the flat rate monthly cost was sort of maintained minimum thanks to a middle organization. And then the very similar thing was one of the success factors of this business offering. And the other case I mentioned is from SKF. It happens to be a Swedish-based company. Traditionally, it's a bearing manufacturer. There is a case description of this company there through this link. But more visually speaking, in some cases they provide a service focusing on the performance. So this example shows that this kind of product service system can happen in this country. So I think this makes the course even more interesting. So the last slide. So from the paper by Van der Merwe, more than 30 years ago, it's interesting that there are sort of a common factor that we can see from different examples, and we can see a shift from things-based solutions or object-based solutions up to activity or experience-based solutions. So if you look at the left and right as a pair, so instead of providing bearings, a company can think of providing trouble-free operations. It's an activity and experience. So there are a number of examples of the same kind. And I think this can sort of trigger you to think of what directions a product-based offering can be shifted. Okay. This is really the last slide of this lecture. I'm quite sure that you know of this story. Apple managed to be very much successful by not focusing on the phone, but thinking about the surrounding products and services and systems. And an interesting story is from Sweden is Ericsson is a telecom manufacturer, telecom system manufacturer, and also service provider. And I cite an article on the website, on a website, saying that internally they tested. I think it was iPhone. No? Internally tested the functions and the performance of the phone, and the conclusion was this product is not good. So that was the conclusion. But you know, the product is not the only element that determines the success of the business. No? So in this case, as you know, Apple managed to design other elements as well in such an organic manner. And this is, I think, a very good lesson for you to think about PSS design also. With that, I am happy to take any question that you may have. Yes? Washing machine.
One of the first with the flowchart. Yeah, this one.
This one.
So, so we can see how this will indicate success. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
that kind of an idea. So, I was wondering where the human factor comes into the picture, considering the end user in mind. Because while this looks like it will work, how do we know what the users, if they would accept this or not? Like, so if you take the sharing washing machines for that as the example, it does look like it would work.
Yeah.
But then how do we know that if people are willing to share?
Yeah.
How do we even predict what their behavior would be?
Great question. So if you didn't hear well, so the question is about how does a designer know, how can he or she know whether a certain, let's say, blueprint of a business model can indeed work or not. And her question was focusing on the users aspect, how users in this case, end users in this case, could react to this kind of business offering. And that is, I would say, a fantastic question. And I would say, I can say a few things. One is, so it's necessary to test with real users, huh? Say with a prototype or trial, things like that. Another answer is conceptual design that we are mostly addressing in this course so far is sort of aims to provide an organized way of making decisions, which sort of doesn't promise the success of the business, of the design outcome. There needs to be a specific step where the design outcome must be tested. Huh? And that's, of course, business-wise, very important step. But I would say what is equally important or more important perhaps than that is how to support designers in the process of coming up with possible solutions. That's why, so far at least, this course has been focusing on that part. Yeah.
Sir, can you go to the slide where we were talking about CO2 emission versus time? Yeah. Sir, so what is status quo there?
Status quo. This is simulation based on the current number of washing machines used in different models. So it's a mixture of, I would say, it's a mixture of this one, the blue one, and the green ones. Huh? Yeah, so it's sort of reality at the time of the start of the simulation. It corresponds to the reality.
Sir, in case that you have shared the example of Rolls Royale, so what kind of business they are having if we plot something, some graph like this? Like
What,
what kind of business they were having? The newer business where they are lending the engines per hour uses. So what kind of business? Like is it a share retail or individual like that?
yeah.
How do we categorize?
If I understand your question correctly, it's so the prediction in terms of time is a forecast based on the current state. Current state is building upon several business models. One is an individual buys a washing machine and he or she uses it at their home. No? And then another model that is included in the current status is the green one. So multiple users share a machine, no? And a semi-professional machine. No?
So what was the model they have? How
For
do you categorize the model of Rolls Royale? Like the ownership they had, but they are just lending the aircraft for the uses. So what does that called?
for this one, the green one, the shared machine, or in this case, on the left-hand side, typically an apartment owner pays a monthly fee to a corporate. The fee includes the usage of the washing machines, access to the washing machines as well. Typically, it includes other stuff like heating and water and so on. So, in a way, you can say that the model is, let's say, flat-based contract to access to the washing machines. And in this case, typically, the number of the number of washing cycles per a family is not sort of limited typically, but in some cases there is a limitation. Okay, you can use the washing machine room, let's say X times per month or so. There is such a limitation in some cases, but basically flat rate and giving access to the washing machine function. That's the model. Yeah. Yeah, take the microphone, please.
So could you please explain
Explain again.
this statement?
Which part of this case?
So circular economy and like how the ownership is a profitable business, like if the money is at the top priority.
So this is a statement in the company's report. This is what the company says, and the company sees this offering as a way for them to contribute to realize a circular economy, right? So this is the starting point. No? And I think your question concerns the economic aspect also. For example, the fee set to this specific washing machine costs, say, 25 euros per month. And you can check different fees for different machines and also different contract lengths. Typically, the shorter contract costs more per month. And this offering has been on the market for 7-8 years already, meaning that there is a certain level of economic viability. And to how much profitable, it's, well, extremely difficult from outsiders' standpoint. And More question? I mean, yeah, I'm not sure if I answered to your question.
Like along with the repair maintenance cost and transportation costs, so still having the ownership, is it a profitable business? Like, you know, with which you mentioned yesterday that money is at the top priority. So with the transportation and repair cost, maintenance cost.
Yeah. This fee turns to be a revenue for the company, right? And then, as I explained with one of the cases in an earlier lecture, the lifecycle cost for the company consists of a number of activities. Getting a washing machine on place is one, and as you said, logistics is another, and preparing the service technician is another, and getting the washing machines back as a reverse logistic is another. So there are different cost drivers, and what the companies typically does is to collect data to calculate each cost driver, and then sum those drivers up and see if the revenue, expected revenue, is sufficient. We did a research work using a different product from different sector, and we showed that when a traditional product manufacturer shifts to a PSS business, often there are two factors that are sort of burdens, economically speaking. One is the overhead cost that exists as a product manufacturer, right? Each product manufacturer has its own overhead cost. For example, like indirect department, the company needs to pay the salaries for them, no? So such stuff. A typical problem is that kind of overhead still remains when the company shifts to a PSS business, although the PSS offering doesn't fully utilize that overhead cost, right? So the business model is new for the organization, but when the business model is smaller compared to other traditional mainstream business, let's say, then the PSS offering must sort of bear the overhead cost as well. This is one factor. And another factor, obviously, is the additional service cost. And well, this is obvious, but the key is, again, the service cost can be reduced by, for example, changing product design. This was achieved by the example that I showed in the automobile product as a service example. So that's why I think that example is very sort of pedagogical. Huh? Okay, thank you.